People don't like the term toxic masculinity because it threatens men's power. So as soon as the right wing heard about it, they had to co-opt it and change its meaning and throw it away like they do with everything. They'll say, masculinity isn't toxic. And you might say, well, that's not what the phrase means. It's not what it's ever meant. It refers to certain aspects of masculinity that make men fuck things up for the people around them. Which is frankly obvious if you think about it just for a minute, but by then it's too late and they're not listening. It's too bad because the conversation on toxic masculinity really needs to happen. But there's an element of it that I think at this point can be described as pathetic. And it's perfectly encapsulated in Jordan Peterson's latest cry for attention. He got kicked off Twitter a couple of days ago because he refused to refer to a trans person, in this case actor Elliott Page, by his chosen name and pronouns. Then Peterson made a 15-minute video explaining it. Yes, 15 minutes of staring at this man. It's Jordan Peterson, so it's tough to listen for more than 10 seconds without tuning out, but the gist of it is, he's being persecuted for his beliefs. Voluntarily transitioning genders is pretty much the Holocaust. Yes, he did. And he would rather die than delete his tweet. I get where he's coming from, because for some time I used to kind of think like him. White men in our culture are unable to leave things alone. They think they need to control everything. When something's out of their control or against their rules, they need to take a stand, even if it's none of their business. Because if you're self-important enough, everything is your business. These guys reserve the right to be the authority on everything, including how other people live their lives. On this channel, you might have seen me trace the origin and development of many of our beliefs, but unlike those other beliefs, I don't really remember how I acquired this mindset. I'm going to read more on it. I learned to see myself as the arbiter of truth, regardless of the effects that supposed truth would have. I learned to value my perfect logic over sympathy for others. It's like we're born with silver megaphones in our mouths, regardless of what the spoon is made of. And the thing about megaphones is they make it much harder to hear people who don't have one. I think of the attitude I learned to be kind of pathetic now. Why bother taking a stand on everything, including what's none of your business? Because the world desperately needs your opinion on everything? Because your beliefs derive from a complete understanding of the world? Is that why you don't feel the need to learn before you form an opinion? Why make this whole song and dance? Why can't you just respect people? For Jordan Peterson, the answers probably include the money and fans he has. But for all his fans, what do they get out of it? They say they're just concerned about the children, as all wannabe tyrants do. But Elliott Page is 35 years old. So what's really behind it? The goal of all this is conformity. Millions of people demand conformity to their ideals because they've been taught that what they believe is so correct it's worth killing and dying for. Men learn that their feelings are more important than those of other people, so even adults like Elliott can't be allowed to make this kind of decision for themselves. Conformity is only ever really achieved through violence. Conformity gets enforced through harassing, bullying, killing, and criminalizing nonconformists. They demand everyone conform to the values of the power structure, however arbitrary and violent. If you're a man, or at least I guess a white man, you can feel like you're part of a club that you can call on to support your power over everybody who isn't in that club. So instead of an expansive, liberating vision of masculinity where you can, be whatever you want, we're supposed to think like Jordan Peterson. I have all the facts and the final word on beauty and gender and whatever else. And I will make myself into a martyr if you try to contradict me. After all, he made it clear he thinks his idea of beauty is universal, meaning that everyone who disagrees with him must be wrong, and anyone who calls him out is a cancel creep. Yes, he used that phrase in his video. Jordan Peterson loves making up hills so he can die on them. Guys like this feel compelled to comment on other people's gender transition or attractiveness and then make it all about themselves. People expressing themselves or living how they want to live is threatening to people who don't believe in freedom or living and letting live. They just want to drag people back into the fold, or else make life as unpleasant as possible for just people who refuse to conform. We should be laughing at people like this, not buying their books. Until social media really kicked off, I kind of thought people pretty much agreed with me, or, should. When I really started looking for new perspectives, especially Black and Indigenous people, trans people, disabled people, and others, I got some idea of how deep these social problems run and what their causes are. I had learned to think of people and their problems as individual struggles against inevitable forces. I saw social problems as separate issues, rather than related issues that need to be tackled at the same time. I thought you could just reform everything. Get everyone to vote right and solve problems that way. But eventually I learned to shut up and listen and seek out new perspectives. And I'm still doing it. Jordan Peterson is lost in his own world, where basic respect is pretty much Nazism. But it's not too late for you.